up, everybody? This is The Run with Manny Wilson. I'm here with a special guest, Ellis Bobbitt. He's here to help me debate some of these NBA topics. Go ahead and say something.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
That's good. All right, so we're going to get into this first topic. Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy gets buckets.
He do get buckets. I like Jimmy Butler. He one of the best shooting guards in the league, in my opinion. But him going to the 76ers, he was just traded from the Timberwolves. Do you think that's going to work with the 76ers and Jimmy Butler?
I think it will. I think him being in a new space and just the positivity there for him, I think it's time for him to, turn a new leaf. He'll become more like a veteran on the team, too. Because you got all those young guys, so somebody they can look up to. Hopefully their games can mesh together, like him and Ben Simmons, Jimmy, I would say he's like the premier shooter on the team now because,
he don't have a choice. They don't really have much shooting.
Exactly.
They didn't have much shooting to start with, but even though they just traded a few people, one of the guys could, they was okay shooters. They wasn't like pure shooters. Their best shooter is still J.J. Redick, though.
Yeah.
But when they get Jimmy Butler, that gives them an option for somebody else who can create their own shot.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Jimmy Butler going there, because it doesn't have to be so much pressure on only Joel Embiid or only Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Now it opens up more opportunities for Jimmy can play more minutes and let other people rest, and he can create his own shot. He might have a quarter where he take over, whatever. But it just brings more opportunities all together for the team, and that's what I do like it.
Yeah, for sure. I think Boston definitely got somebody, a contestant in the East now.
Oh, the East is loaded. The East is actually it's pretty competitive in the East.
Yeah, it's looking better than it has in the past few years.
Yeah, in past few years, people was clowning the Eastern Conference, saying there's only one team, one dominant team, and it was usually whatever team LeBron was on. But he wasn't. The teams he was playing against wasn't fully together yet. Now, if LeBron was still on Cleveland and he had to get through the East, now it would be way tougher because everybody is good. You got the Bucks, Pacers, Celtics. Philly just got so much better because of Jimmy Butler. That's gonna help them come playoff time. So it definitely helps them a lot, man. And it spreads out that competition in the East.
Yeah,
that's what I like to see. And in terms of Jimmy Butler getting there, a lot of people have tried to say that the blame was solely on Jimmy Butler, and he's been a problem with every team he goes to. People was talking about, I don't know if you've seen it, but they was talking about how when he was on the Bulls, he was a lot of problems, and he was the main problem on the Bulls. When he was on the Timberwolves, of course, he was the main problem. But I don't think it was like that. Jimmy Butler, to me, seems like a guy who just likes to win. He likes to compete, and he just wants to win. Overall, that's the whole thing. When he was in Minnesota, he was clearly unhappy. And he came out and said that the people he was playing with ain't had no heart. And as somebody who likes sports, if I'm playing with somebody who ain't got no heart and no fight in them, that's gonna piss me off too.
Yeah, he just want to win, and that's what I feel like a lot of players are not doing. They want to win championships. They going into that next phase versus being worried about, I don't know. Yes, there's still loyalties within the league, but it's also people are just more worried about.
Or just get into an organized team already.
Yeah, get into a team where they know there's something there they can build off of.
That's true. That's true. But I like Jimmy Butler. I feel like either way, wherever he would have went, that narrative can still be true because at this point in the game, you got to have almost a stacked team. Your team got to be stacked with at least 3 or 4 superstars or 3 or 4 good players, good key concept players, to compete for a championship. The way it is when you got teams out there like the Warriors and you got Rockets and even the Celtics are a really good team. I talk about that a lot because not only do they have Kyrie, they got Jason Tatum and Brown. They all good players. So you gotta have some kind of depth when you building a team and you trying to get your team right. And with Jimmy Butler going to the 76ers, it definitely add a lot of depth. And I think the players around him too are not as soft as people like they was in Minnesota, like Karl Anthony Towns. A lot of people said, or mostly him, he came out and was straight, just killing him, man.
What did you say?
You ain't hear about how he was calling everybody soft, and he was in practice talking about y'all effing need me, and he was like, y'all ain't nothing without me. He was going crazy on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he was most of that anger came from him just saying You know, these guys are superstars. They're supposed to be superstars. They high draft picks. And you gotta understand, Jimmy Butler, he wasn't a high draft pick.
30th pick.
Yeah, he came low. And he ain't go to no big college, none of that. So all his stuff came straight from hard work. So he playing with guys who first draft picks or first rounders, and he like, what are y'all doing? Like,
y'all supposed to be winning. Like, what's going on?
You supposed to be the man. Like, come on, compete with me. Like, I'm trying to make you better, and if you gonna back down, and you know that's not the best. That's not a type of person I want to play with. If you're gonna back down from the challenge, but with 76ers, those two guys, mostly Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, them two are one. They both already good. Joel Embiid is really good. And Ben Simmons, he still has developing he got to do in his game, mostly just with getting a jump shot. But if you look at the example that Jimmy Butler is talking trash to Ben Simmons or whatever, trying to get him to compete a certain way, Ben Simmons is gonna fight back.
Yeah,
I don't think Ben Simmons is that type of person who has the quit in him, or definitely not Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is way. I don't want to say he's just about pretty cocky. He's pretty cocky, but that's good though.
As humble,
yeah. He come here, but he ball out. That's the main important part. He's way too much of a superstar to let somebody else just come in on the team and just punk him out.
Yeah,
he was the one who started that, or the main person who really embraced the slogan "Trust the process." Yeah. He was there when Ben Simmons was down, all that. So
yeah, and I feel like Jimmy coming into that, you know, he might test him and be like,
yeah, he gonna try.
He gonna try.
Oh yeah.
And I think if they put him in his place, be like, hey, you on this team now, but you're not gonna just come in here acting like you own it. I think that's what Jimmy want. Cause you know he wants somebody with some backbone.
Yeah, that's exactly all it is.
He wasn't getting that in Minnesota, you know.
That's all it is. And I know that they lost the other night, right? Yeah. They ended up losing. So I know that was a rough start, but it's gonna take a little bit of time for them to go ahead and get it together and start playing as a team, and for the system to start working efficiently with new players. But ultimately, it's gonna all turn out to be good. Come playoff time, that team is gonna be much better.
We might see like lower numbers from Butler, just because he's playing with, I feel like, people who all need their touches. You know.
A little bit, but Ben Simmons ain't shooting the ball regardless.
Yeah,
so he's more of a pass type of point guard, or point forward, I should say, anyway. So he gonna pass. But I noticed in the game the other day that Joel Embiid was just, man, he was knocking Trays down. He was knocking them down, man.
Yeah, big fella.
And I think that's gonna be another key factor too, is because they have another player who can spread the floor. Although Jimmy Butler isn't a pure shooter, he's one of those players like, okay, we ain't just going to leave him open multiple times. Because when he get hot, he get hot. Yeah, he start making shots when he get hot. So he's still one of them players like, okay, we going to run out there and contest the shot. Yeah. So then Joel Embiid, he was knocking him down last night. So as long as he can keep shooting like that, that's going to definitely take them to another level as it is. But I mean, he can pretty much score from anywhere around the court as it is. So that definitely helps them.
So you got players like Jimmy Butler. You got players, James Harden, who start off on the bench. And, now they're like superstars.
Right. Well, yeah, he did. Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, they both, like Jimmy Butler, he was back in 2011 when D Rose was MVP. Butler was on the bench,
Yeah, that's true. And then it wasn't until D Rose went down when Jimmy Butler started giving his buckets.
Yeah,
and it was the same with Harden almost, because Harden came off the bench for a minute. Or at OKC, and he was six man of the year. Was balling out. Went to a different team, and he did his thing. And ever since Jimmy Butler, or it was mostly like I said, it was mostly when D Rose went down. That's when Jimmy Butler showed like, look, I can hoop. Like I'm sweet. And then it just was so on and so on. And went to a different team. Things didn't work out. For Philly, things didn't work out. If things don't work out in Philly, or that's what I meant. I'm sorry. If things don't work out in Philly, is the blame gonna go directly on Jimmy Butler because of the past?
I don't think so. Like, he came to help the team, and I guess if he can't fully succeed in that, it's a team effort. Like, you got to remember that. Like, it's everybody collectively. They all, depending on everybody, is how the season will go. You know? I mean, behind the scenes stuff, so like locker room presence, things like that stuff definitely has an impact. So, like, in that way, I feel like he can affect it,
Yeah, that's true.
On the court, I feel like it translates on the court too. What happened off the court, affects what's on the court. So
in my opinion, I hope things work out. I definitely hope things work out. But if things was to somehow not go as planned with 76ers, get out first round against whoever, I don't think he'd receive all the blame. One, because it wouldn't be entirely his fault. I mean, it depends on if actions or if other people on the team was to blame him, then that'd be different. Like, if we seen a difference in the play, how he was doing things, or the way he was like running things in the locker room or trying to run things in the locker room, because I'm sure we would hear about it. In today's media, I'm sure they'll report all that stuff or anything that happened with behind the scenes. But other than that, I don't think he'd take all the blame for it. I do expect them to go further in the playoffs. I had them probably in the same predicament as last year, getting put out second round.
Okay.
Against the Celtics, maybe.
Okay.
But now I definitely see them being able to compete with the Raptors. Maybe not beat the Raptors, but they definitely make that an option now. And I'll still have to see like how they gel together as they keep playing, or whether they could beat the Raptors and get to the conference finals, because I got Celtics already going there. Yeah. But I would have to see how Philly competes through the rest of the season if they can get there to the finals or the conference finals with the Celtics.